For more than 3 decades, Lori Matsukawa served as a trusted voice in the Pacific Northwest, helping tell the stories that shape our community. Now she's turning the camera on her own remarkable journey in a new memoir called Being There, Memoir of an Asian American Journalist. This book traces her path from Hawaii to the King 5 anchor desk and the barriers she helped break for Asian American journalists. Lori, it is an honor to get to meet you. I have been so excited and waiting for this moment, but especially to have you back here at King 5. I mean, how does it feel?
It feels very special. It feels kind of strange because there are still so many friends here in the building, and it's just wonderful to see them all. They all look so young, and I'm hoping, do I look young too? I hope so. It's been 7 years. It's been 7 years since I retired.
7 years. Well, you look fabulous, Lori. I just
you.
have to start with that. But I have to know, what made you decide that now was the time to tell your story?
You know, it's called a memoir, but it's really not about me. It's not my story, it's our story. I had to put down on paper what this last few decades has been and meant to so many of us. We have been through so many changes. We've been through the women's movement, the anti-war movement, the voting rights movement. We've been through every movement you can imagine. And television as an industry has changed, from writing on typewriters and making calls from payphones to now satellite and digital television like you've never seen. So I had to put on paper what I went through. It was our history, but through my eyes. And it was just a wonder to see how the community changed. When I first got here, I'd have to admit it was a pretty kind of white station, not just King, but this whole market. It was a fairly white man's world. And there were so few women, and there were so few people of color. And I thought maybe we can make a difference. And I think over the years, along with other fellow journalists, we did make a difference.
Yeah, you said that so beautifully. Now, I love the title, Being There. What does that mean to you, that phrase?
It means that it makes a difference if you are there. The story goes that, a young Cambodian American student came up to me one day and said, she kind of giggled and said, every night when you used to come on TV, my dad would yell, "Hey, Lori's on TV!" And we all would run into the living room to see you because it was such a thrill to see an Asian American journalist on TV. And so that's when it hit me. It's like, wow, it makes a difference to just be there.
It does, and you've mentioned it too. I mean, when you started, there were so few Asian American women on TV. What were some of the challenges that you faced in that moment, trying to break in the industry?
I think the first real breakthrough was we would talk to news directors about, hey, why don't you hire some Asian American journalists? And they would say, well, we would, but where are they? And they had a point. So we decided then and there we were going to prime the pump. We were going to give scholarships to Asian American students so they would go to college, stay in college. When they graduated, we would mentor them. We would take them to our convention, take them to our job fair, have them hired by stations at the job fair, and then have them pull each other up from market to market so that they would become viable candidates. And then we could turn to the news directors and say, here are your candidates. We primed the pump for you, now hire them.
You did, and you paved the way, I mean, truly. And then, of course, you did so here at King for so many years. When you look back on that nearly 40-year career here specifically, what are some of the memories that stand out most?
I think it was the opportunity that they gave just this young cub. At the time, I was a young cub reporter, and as the years went by, they said, okay, why don't you go to China to cover the Governor Locke's first trade mission? That was huge. Why don't you go and cover the New Hampshire primaries in New Hampshire? And all of a sudden, I was doing network type work, but I didn't have to leave my home.
And you were given that opportunity that you fought so hard for. That's what's so incredible to me.
It was like, yeah, here I am in New Hampshire, but I'm still working for King 5.
That's amazing. Well, we all know that your career, it was about far more than just delivering the news and reporting the news. You worked to ensure that underrepresented communities were seen and heard. And you've touched on that, of course, in this conversation. But why was that so important to you, just to you personally?
I think throughout my life, people have been so wonderful and so kind and generous. And they have encouraged me when I was down, and they have given me opportunities, and I cannot personally repay them. So the only thing I can do is pay it forward, right? So this is what we do. We are there for the next generation. We pay it forward, and we, are showing our gratitude by encouraging the next generation.
What do you hope that younger journalists, especially journalists of color, take away from reading your book?
One thing that I hope young journalists remember is that they are so lucky. They are so lucky to be living in a society where there is an Asian American Journalists Association. We've been around for 40 years encouraging young people to stay in the industry and to become leaders in the industry. And we never had that, when we started. So be grateful for that opportunity, take advantage of that opportunity, and make us proud. Also, thank goodness for digital, instruments, tools,
Yes.
and television. Boy, your job is so much faster and so much easier in so many ways.
Truly is, and I just can't even thank you enough for taking the time to be back here with us. It's such a joy, such an honor, and of course I will be looking forward to reading your book. I was telling you during the break, I love reading memoirs from journalists, especially somebody that was here at King.
There are so many people and places that you will recognize, Madeline.
I know, I'm looking forward to it, and just thank you again, Lori, and you have got to check this out. Read the book. Of course, Lori has several upcoming book signings. You can check it out Saturday if you want to make a trip to Portland. Sunday, though, in Seattle, she'll be at the Filipino Community Center. And next Thursday, she'll be at the Washington State History Museum. Thank you so much. We'll be right back.